Imagine Europe in the early 1900s, a continent bustling with life, innovation and cultural vibrancy. Cities were expanding, and the Industrial Revolution was in full swing, transforming societies and economies at a rapid pace. Powerful empires, brimming with pride and ambition, jostled for dominance on the world stage. The competition was fierce, with each nation striving to outdo the others in military might and colonial expansion. Germany, a rising industrial giant, sought its place in the sun. Under the leadership of Kaiser Wilhelm II, the nation was determined to assert its power and influence, building a formidable military and expanding its industrial base. Britain, mistress of the seas, guarded her empire with a watchful eye. The British Empire, vast and far-reaching, relied on its powerful navy to maintain control over its colonies and protect its trade routes. France, still smarting from defeat in the Franco-Prussian War, yearned for revenge. The loss had left a deep scar on the French national psyche, and the desire to reclaim lost honor and territory was ever present. These simmering tensions, fueled by nationalism and imperial rivalry, created a powder keg ripe for detonation. Nationalist fervor swept across the continent, with each nation believing in its own superiority and destiny. A complex web of alliances entangled the great powers. Treaties and agreements meant to provide security instead created a fragile balance that could easily tip into chaos. Germany and Austria-Hungary stood together, bound by shared interests and a sense of encirclement. Their alliance was a bulwark against perceived threats from other European powers. Facing them stood France, Russia and Great Britain, united by mutual suspicion of German ambitions. These nations, wary of Germany's growing power, formed their own alliances to counterbalance the threat. This delicate balance of power, meant to deter aggression, instead set the stage for a catastrophic conflict. The arms race intensified, with each nation preparing for the possibility of war. Europe was a tinderbox, and the fuse was about to be lit. The continent was on edge, with tensions running high and the slightest spark capable of igniting a full-scale war. A single event, seemingly insignificant in the grand scheme of things, would trigger the deadliest war the world had ever seen. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo set off a chain reaction of events. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, would plunge the world into darkness. This act of violence unleashed a torrent of diplomatic ultimatums, mobilizations, and declarations of war, leading to the outbreak of World War I. On a sunny June morning in 1914, the city of Sarajevo was bustling with life. The streets were filled with people going about their daily routines, unaware of the historic events about to unfold. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife Sophie arrived in Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia. Their visit was part of a goodwill tour, meant to strengthen the bonds between the empire and its diverse subjects. However, their visit, intended to bolster Austro-Hungarian rule in the restive province, would have fateful consequences. The atmosphere in Sarajevo was tense, with a heavy military presence underscoring the unease. A group of Serbian nationalists known as the Black Hand saw the Archduke's visit as an opportunity to strike a blow for Serbian independence. They were determined to make a statement that would resonate far beyond the borders of Bosnia. As the Archduke's motorcade wound through the crowded streets of Sarajevo, the people gathered to catch a glimpse of the royal couple. The air was filled with a mix of excitement and tension. Among the crowd was a young assassin named Gavrilo Princip, a member of the Black Hand. He had been waiting for this moment, driven by a fervent desire to see his homeland free from Austro-Hungarian rule. Suddenly, shots rang out, echoing through the stunned silence. Chaos erupted as people realized what had happened. The once bustling streets were now filled with panic and confusion. The Archduke and his wife lay dead, victims of a plot that would shatter the fragile peace. Their assassination marked the beginning of a chain of events that would lead to one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. Austria-Hungary, outraged by the assassination, blamed Serbia and issued a harsh ultimatum. The empire's leaders were determined to use this tragedy as a pretext to assert their dominance in the region. The ultimatum, designed to be unacceptable, demanded Serbian submission to Austro-Hungarian demands. It was a calculated move, intended to provoke a conflict that would allow Austria-Hungary to crush Serbian resistance once and for all. Serbia, backed by its powerful ally Russia, refused to comply fully. The refusal set the stage for a broader conflict as alliances and treaties began to draw other nations into the fray. The gears of war, set in motion by a single act of violence, began to grind inexorably forward. The assassination in Sarajevo would soon plunge the world into the horrors of World War I, forever changing the course of history. Within weeks, Europe was engulfed in war. The continent, which had enjoyed a fragile peace, was now a battleground. The echoes of marching boots and the cries of families saying their farewells filled the air, signaling the beginning of a conflict that would reshape the world. Germany, honouring its alliance with Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia and France. The intricate web of alliances meant that a local conflict quickly spiraled into a full-scale war. Soldiers boarded trains, leaving behind their homes and loved ones, heading towards an uncertain future. Britain, obligated to defend Belgian neutrality, declared war on Germany when German troops marched into Belgium on their way to France. The invasion of Belgium was a strategic move by Germany, but it also brought Britain into the fray, further escalating the conflict. The Schlieffen Plan, Germany's daring strategy to knock France out of the war quickly, relied on a swift and decisive victory in the West. German military strategists believed that by rapidly defeating France, they could then turn their full attention to the Eastern Front. German troops sweeping through Belgium clashed with French and British forces in a series of bloody battles. The resistance they encountered was fierce, and the battles were marked by significant casualties on both sides. The Battle of the Marne, a desperate clash that raged for days, halted the German advance and dashed any hopes of a quick victory. This pivotal battle marked the beginning of trench warfare, as both sides dug in, preparing for a prolonged conflict. The war on the Western Front settled into a deadly stalemate. Trenches stretched for miles, and soldiers faced the horrors of no man's land, where artillery bombardments and machine gun fire made any advance perilous. Meanwhile, on the Eastern Front, Russia's vast armies battled German and Austro-Hungarian forces. The scale of the conflict was immense, with battles raging across vast territories from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. The scale of the fighting was unprecedented, with millions of men locked in a struggle that stretched across vast distances. The war's impact was felt far beyond the battlefields, affecting civilians and reshaping societies in ways that would be felt for generations to come. Section 4. A new kind of war, the trenches. As the war on the Western Front bogged down, both sides dug in, creating a network of trenches that stretched for hundreds of miles. The trenches, a labyrinth of mud, barbed wire and machine gun nests, became a symbol of the war's brutality and futility. Soldiers on both sides endured unimaginable conditions, living in constant fear of enemy attack, disease, and the ever-present rain of artillery fire. Attacks, often preceded by massive artillery bombardments, resulted in horrific casualties for minimal gains. The Battle of the Somme, one of the bloodiest battles in human history, saw over 1 million casualties for a few miles of mud. New technologies of war, such as poison gas, tanks and airplanes, added to the horror but failed to break the stalemate. Section 5. Empires at war, global conflict. World War I, despite its name, was not confined to Europe. The vast empires of the European powers drew colonies and dominions into the conflict, turning a European war into a global one. Soldiers from Australia, Canada, India and Africa fought and died on battlefields far from home. The Ottoman Empire, allied with Germany, fought against British and French forces in the Middle East. Japan, seizing the opportunity to expand its influence in Asia, attacked German possessions in the Pacific. The United States, initially neutral, entered the war on the side of the Allies in 1917. The sinking of the Lusitania, a British passenger liner, by a German U-boat, and the Zimmermann telegram, a secret German offer to Mexico to ally against the United States, outraged American public opinion and helped push the United States into the war.